What's going on, guys? John here with Jack for another episode of Talking Ball, and today we're doing the Chicago Bulls for the 2017 NBA Draft review. And Jack, we kind of already maligned the Bulls in our overall draft review, but I guess we'll start here talking about the Jimmy Butler trade. I thought it was definitely not a great trade. I thought at least they got some value back for Jimmy Butler, but it should definitely be noted that the players they got back are all big question marks. LaVine in terms of injury, Dunn in terms of not a great rookie year, can he improve? And Markkanen just in terms of, coming in as a rookie and what is, besides being a stretch four, can he do anything else for you that makes him worth taking at 7?
Exactly. And not only injuries with LaVine, but you got to question, defense. And on this Bulls team, you don't know who's going to be left. And so, really, he goes from a guy who was able to create his own offense, but wasn't the focal point with Wiggins and Towns and so. But, whatever's left on this Bulls team, he could be the de facto number one option. And
right.
So, that's definitely another element to LaVine question mark. Dunn, you said he didn't have a great rookie season. That's a very nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
And I think, with the fact that everyone was, I don't know if I'd say completely convinced, but pretty assured that Rubio was on his way out because they brought in Dunn.
Yeah.
And not only did that not happen, but then Dunn, really struggled pretty blatantly. And Rubio took the reins there and played pretty well for the Wolves. I just thought overall that the Bulls could have gotten more for Butler. And it seemed like, to me, more so that Butler kind of picked his spot and that the Bulls just took the best offer from the Wolves.
Yeah,
rather than, working him, marketing him to other teams in the league and trying to get the best overall deal. Because, to me, I'd just be very surprised if this was the best possible deal you could do for Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, I don't know what the hurry was for them to get this deal done
That's it.
Right, other than the draft, I guess, that they wanted it to be done before the draft. And I don't know how, when they started these talks, it seemed like they only started them a week or two ago. So, they started late, they hurried themselves, they got desperate, it would seem, to trade Butler, who clearly didn't want to be in Chicago anymore, who wanted to be elsewhere. And, they wound up getting really just, cents on the dollar for a guy who's a top 15, top 20 player in the NBA. And, you didn't even get a guy who you can look at and say, okay, we're getting this guy. He's obviously not Jimmy Butler, but he's going to be solid. We know he can contribute for us. The closest thing to that they have is Zach LaVine, and who knows what he's going to be after his injury, because he's a player who relies so much on his explosiveness. So we'll see what happens there. Obviously, we both agree the trade could have been better. I know, Jack, you feel a little strongly about it more than I do negatively. But yeah, I think there's no debating that the Bulls should have gotten more for Jimmy Butler. Could they have? Who knows? The Cavs obviously were interested before they fired David Griffin, and the players were telling Jimmy Butler to stay away. And the Celtics reportedly were interested. Who knows if they, made an offer. They didn't want to give up the number 3 pick or the Boston pick next year. What's that?
The Nets pick, rather.
Right, yeah, right. They didn't want to give up the Brooklyn Nets pick next year. So, yeah, we'll see how that pans out for the Bulls. But they are in, obvious rebuilding territory. There'll probably be a team looking to tank, I would assume, the next couple of years to try and get more prospects. They have some pieces. Dunn, LaVine, and Markkanen are kind of essentially 3 first-round picks. But, there's still obvious questions to them, so we'll see what happens going forward. But I guess, Jack, we can talk a little bit about Markkanen himself as a prospect, since that's who they picked at number 7.
Yeah, really quickly, though, before, I guess, we discuss Markkanen, I just want to say one thing. You discussed how this move seems to indicate that the Bulls are moving towards being in a rebuilding type phase. And at face value, that definitely makes sense. And as a reason for justification of this trade, maybe this will be the lead into buyouts for Rondo and Dwayne Wade down the road here, and really go into a full rebuild and tank. Having said that, they made this trade, and then at the 38th pick, they decided that they needed to sell that pick, having one selection on the night, Lauri Markkanen. They needed to sell that pick for whatever reason. And this isn't a small market team. This is the Chicago Bulls. And so if you're going to tank, or at least maybe they're not going to tank, but they're clearly rebuilding.
Right.
Why not take that valuable selection? And it's not like they traded it. They just sold it.
Right. And it's not like it was a pick in the late 40s, 50s. That was, 38. You can still get a good player at 38. And Jordan Bell, who the Warriors wound up picking, is a solid player.
Exactly, and maybe they didn't like Jordan Bell, but there was a lot of talent available at that portion of the draft that could have come in and made this Bulls team. This is not a loaded roster by any means.
No,
they only had, granted, Dunn and Levine are coming in exchange for Butler, but they only had Markkanen coming in from this draft. And let's not forget that they also had to give up their 16th pick in the trade.
Right.
So it just befuddles me, honestly. It didn't seem like, their GM came out and made a statement that they have a clear direction now, but that didn't seem the case to me at all based on their decisions on draft night.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Jack.
All right, but back into Markkanen. Markkanen, I think he could be a good player, but, I think you said it best when we were talking about in the overall, the draft review video, when you said, he's going to be able to score, he's going to be able to stretch the floor, but what else is he going to be able to do for you that justifies him being the 7th pick?
Yeah.
And that's really where, I'm kind of at a loss for, because he's not a great rebounder, he's not a great defender, he's not really a playmaker, and so he's got to be like an elite scorer.
Yeah.
To really justify that pick. And I don't know, it just seems tough. It just seems like that's going to be tough for him to mount to, really.
Yeah, and I think everything you said is right, Jack. And he's a guy who, at the end of the day, could really just be another Ryan Anderson, who's a solid player. But would you take Ryan Anderson at 7 when Dennis Smith and Zach Collins and Malik Monk and Donovan Mitchell and even Justin Jackson are still on the board? I wouldn't, personally. I think there's a lot of players they could have went and got who would have been better fits for the Bulls than maybe not necessarily better fits, but better value for the Bulls than Markkanen at 7.
Yeah, I think Markkanen really was the guy who needed to go to a team that he could fit into,
right?
Rather than a team without like a clear direction or roster that's suited to accentuate his strengths. And clearly that Bulls roster isn't set up for that right now. And so I think Markkanen could definitely struggle his rookie season.
All right, guys, let us know what you think about that Chicago Bulls draft, that Jimmy Butler trade. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Were you indifferent to it? Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for listening. We're out.